Well, it's Christmas time at the WhatsupPoland studio, so we have decided to do something fun. Me and editor Philip are going to have a little look back at the top 5 stories of this year. Are you ready? Editor Philip, I hope you are. Yes, the number 1 story for WhatsupPoland, I'm a little bit surprised by this, is amazing Led Zeppelin cover goes viral. Editor Philip, if you can show a bit of the video.
I have to say, I watched it, and my wife was urgently calling me to do something for her, like bringing the shopping. And I had to watch it 3 times and ignore her calls because it blew me away. I'm sure you've had exactly the same feeling.
Not really, but I understand that some people might find it incredible.
Yeah, so this is the story of a remarkable Polish guitarist who went viral with his cover of Led Zeppelin. Editor Philip, if you don't mind me saying, you didn't put enough of that cover in. So see if you can put a bit more in now. And we were lucky to be joined by John Beecham, the co-host of WhatsupPoland, who has decided to retire from video work to focus on his podcast. But John, I'd like to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being in that video as well. Your presence and the presence of all our other co-hosts, including Monica Zielinski, is always much appreciated. Do you know what? I love that song. Yeah, it's so catchy the way he does it. So I think it probably deserves to be number 1. But let's get on to number 2. Our second top story of 2021 was Poland. Best place to live in Europe? Yes, this was the surprising news, surprising for some at least, that Poland had been voted as one of the best places to live in Europe, ranking very highly on a number of indicators. This seemed to tickle the fancy of quite a lot of people on the internet, a lot of people saying ridiculous, and a lot of people, yours truly included, saying awesome. So well done, Poland. And I have a feeling that that's not going to be the first time you score very highly in the rankings.
Poles are also notorious for complaining about things
all the time.
Are you one of those Poles?
No, absolutely not. I mean, actually, I tend to agree with what you've been saying. I love living here. I think the quality of the service is absolutely fine. I've got nothing really to complain about.
The number 3 WhatsupPoland story, one of my ones, I have to say, is the truth about the Poland-Belarus border crisis. Now, it's true that the world's attention has gone away from the Polish-Belarusian border, but the efforts of the Polish government and attendant services to keep the border secure and protect the integrity of the EU's border remains. I probably got, I don't say too emotional, but it was an episode that I recorded a couple of times and I felt very strongly about it. If you haven't watched it, Editor Philip, if you can just show a little bit of it now. No one without a heart would not be moved by seeing children at the border. Me neither. As a dad of kids, I couldn't imagine anything worse. So you got to ask yourself, as a journalist, if you're there, maybe it might be worth asking a couple more questions. Like number 1, how did these people get here? Thank you very much, Editor Philip. I think you can see that I was quite emotional there. I tried to give my point of view as a journalist, as a person living in Poland. And you know what? I'm still a bit amazed. For me, I was genuinely amazed how badly that story was reported. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist type kind of guy. I understand that life is mucky and messy, and just because someone doesn't say what you want doesn't mean there's some kind of global conspiracy behind it. But it's the first time that I have really seen the difference between the truth as it was reported on the ground and the bizarre spin that can happen when you get a journalist on the border. Luckily, the major crisis that it is has passed, and if you're worried about what's happening, you should be pleased to know that the vast majority of the people who were very cruelly treated by the Belarusian armed forces, shot at, beaten, there's documented cases of this, have now safely returned whence they came. So a crisis which was entirely orchestrated by Belarus has now largely receded, and let's hope it stays that way. The number 4 top story for 2021 was Poland facing massive population decline. Yet me and former co-host John Beecham looked at the disturbing news that Polish people are just not having enough babies. Okay, their reproductive rate is dropping, and this, in common with a lot of other Western countries, is causing a depopulation crisis. Obviously, freedom of movement has played a key role in that. Well, bit too much of me recently. So what I'm going to do is just pass over to co-host John Beecham, who surprisingly had done some research for this story and wanted to share it with us. Over to you.
I have done a little bit of research myself, and I have read that in the United Kingdom, for instance, in fact, it is Polish mothers who are actually reproducing the most, like that have the most kids in the UK at the moment.
I heard about that. Yeah.
So it's like, you know, it's just a shame that they're not here, but maybe their kids might come to Poland.
Thank you, Editor Philip, for showing a Bon Mots there from John, just part of his ever extensive research. Now let's get on to our fifth top story, and maybe this says a lot about Poland or the kind of people who are interested in Poland. Was, you're never going to believe this, Taiwanese cactus rips off Polish rapper. This was my story, and I loved it. So this is the story of a Polish mum who was shocked to her very core when she's in a Korean shop and she sees a little dancing electronic cactus, you know, like the Billy the Fish and all the rest of it, except the cactus is spitting some bars, some filthy bars. It turns out that the cactus was rapping a gruesome, slightly depressing song about illegal drug use. And obviously, as you can imagine, this Polish mum was absolutely shocked. Editor Philip, if you can just show a little bit of the song in the video.
Tylko jedno w głowie mam, koksu 5 gram, odlecieć sam w krainę zapomnienia. W głowie myśli mam, kiedy skończy się ten stan, gdy już nie będę sam, bo wiedzie biały węg.
Thank you, Editor Philip. Gruesome stuff. I won't even go into what the lyrics were. Ironically, this probably did that particular dancing cactus a big favor. I think the management got in touch. I haven't heard much from this story, but evidently users of the internet were interested because it was our top 5 story. Well, if you like stories about Poland, the weird, the wacky, the wonderful, the current affairs, the cultural, the social, and just the rapping cactus ripping off a rapper, then I think the only thing you can do is subscribe to the WhatsUp Poland channel wherever you find it. And of course, check out the premier English language news service about Poland, which is thefirstnews.com. It has been my great pleasure to bring you this show. As far as I know, it's the longest running and most varied, and in my opinion, the most interesting and entertaining watch show about Poland. If you like WhatsUp Poland, I'd like you to give the rest of the world a gift. Share this episode or any of the WhatsUp Poland episodes with other people. Become your own Father Christmas, as it were, on the Polish news service of thefirstnews.com. And I'll see you in 2022.